Hello and welcome to another episode of our Midweek conversation with First Baptist Church Sweetwater, where we strive to be the first responders of God's love. I'm here with Teak Hamilton.
Hi, Jerry.
Hello, Teak. Hey, this is the last podcast episode of 2020. Goodbye, 2020.
Thank goodness.
Okay, I don't know if we'll have anything else to say now, but
I feel like this is kind of a letdown being back in here after we've been in such really cool locations.
I did mean to intro and say Studio A. It's we do hope to be working on some studio ideas. No, we are working on some studio ideas. Those ideas are all in our head.
We're hoping on putting them in production, I guess.
Yes, within a few weeks to start the new year. But anyway, so I was gone Sunday, and y'all had a good day.
Yeah, we had like 300 in worship.
Yeah. I know. Listen, if you're just listening to the midweek conversation, you need to go back and catch that. I don't know. I guess it would be on the Facebook video.
Yeah, it would, definitely.
But a good setup for me by Teak, as you can imagine.
I told Stacey, I said, I probably shouldn't be given a mic in worship because you never know what I'm going to say. And she said, that's just in life in general. So there you go.
And Stacey knows best. You know?
Yeah, she does.
But it was a good day. Miles Wernz was here,
yeah.
and he is the Director of Baptist Studies at Abilene Christian University.
Yep.
And I've tried to say that each time just to get us familiar with the concept, if nothing else, but also familiar with him and the work that he's doing over there. It's pretty fun to think about that opportunity that we have as Baptists to have something specialized like that.
Yeah, because it's not too long ago that you remember how Baptists and Church of Christ really didn't get along at all.
Right.
And even when we were younger, there were those stories, and we don't see that nowadays. It's nice to see that that's able to happen.
Well, definitely a progressive step on the part of ACU. But,
much appreciated by us.
Yeah, exactly. And as I tried to help people understand a little bit about Miles, he is just so well thought of by a wide range of folks.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. And so I got some really good text following the worship service on Sunday. And so that's always a good sign. One of the things that I did try to share with folks is that when I am gone, I do want our church, to have the opportunity to hear somebody that's really good. And so we were fortunate. It was a little bit of a struggle on scheduling during this period because I'm usually not gone during these 2 weeks.
Right.
But man, we were fortunate to get him and to get our folks introduced to him, and then also to have him speak on Sunday.
He did a really good job. Like, he needs my affirmation. But what I enjoyed about it was he talked about hope, which is something we talk about at Advent on the first week, and he took it in a different direction, and it really spoke to the current situation, pandemic. But then he said, this should be, I don't know why this isn't a text for Advent, and we might need to write the lectionary people and say, hey, this is a better text.
Well, as much as Teak and I have talked about Advent this year, it's one I'm going to go look into for setting up for next year. We have talked a little bit as we kind of wind down this year, as the decorations have already started to come down in our worship center.
So sad.
It is a sad transition, but we did some good evaluation on Advent, on the different Sundays, and trying to think through what we can do to make it a more meaningful time, even more than it was this past year. The candlelight service seemed to go well.
Yeah, definitely.
I did miss. I tried to enjoy and embrace the specialness of that moment. I think that's where a lot of faith is intended to be lived in, is in that moment. But I do look forward to having a crowd and having a crowd of candles lit at the end of a worship service next year.
Right, definitely, yeah.
Sorry, I do think that's.
I agree with you.
I do think that's within the realm of possibilities, but I'm no scientist.
Me neither, but There's a lot on Facebook if you need them.
There you go. Well, then next Sunday, Gary Stidham will be our speaker, and Gary is the Baptist Student Ministry Director at University of Texas at Arlington. He is a friend of Lisa and Robert Aker. I don't know why I said Lisa's name first, but
because she's the one that talks about him all the time.
Well, she's actually the one that
Brought up
scheduled the gig for us. So it was her idea. We were trying to be creative and thinking of people that were available, and as it turns out, it's hard to find people available during the holiday season. And
he was passing through.
He and Robert are from O'Donnell in did I say that right?
No, I don't know. I still can't say right. Apparently,
up in the Panhandle, they grew up together, and so they're longtime friends. And Lisa's a friend too. They went to Angelo.
Yeah, because Lisa says that Gary is responsible for her and Robert. And then we pressed that a little bit and found out it meant them being together and married and everything. So that's really
right.
good.
I mean, sometimes we forget to complete our communication.
Right.
I mean, we do. I don't. Teague hardly ever does, but he's the one that catches us. So
but it's exciting about him being here.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
I know it's real. I told Sharon Sunday that I don't have a breakneck pace in life, but I do have trouble unplugging. So I'm the tortoise for sure.
You really do.
And so
have
I just
trouble
keep
unplugging.
I just keep going along, and but Sunday was refreshing. I think sometimes Sunday afternoon. Well, it was such a beautiful day for one day.
Yeah,
it was like 70 degrees in December. So
prepare for snow tomorrow.
Right, we are, and so. But I'm glad that we've had these two guys come, and so Sunday will be another fun day, and I look forward to hearing more good reports from Gary.
You noticed I didn't text you Sunday. I gave you the day off. Like you took it off. I tried to stay out of your way, and so I didn't text you, and the place didn't fall apart.
I wasn't worried about that. I thought of some things that we didn't go over that we normally go over. I think that's another holiday thing where there's so many other things on personal schedules that I didn't cover that I thought of. But then when I remembered again, it was already after 10:30. It was 10:43.
Well, that doesn't stop a lot of people, so feel free to text if you need
I was very aware of where things were in terms of scheduling and time, and I didn't text you.
No, you didn't. I was proud of you.
Anyways, it was. It's fun to be here, and I think you and I both enjoy more than we would say that we miss being away. We just enjoy being here.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
And so it's hard to miss out on some of the what goes on and being able to be in that context.
Right.
And so, but I've stepped back for a couple of weeks. It's something. I'm trying to learn in terms of pastoring. A lot of pastors do this and have youth ministers preach or others in their church preach. And so this year I'm stepping back to work on not just the new series that will start January 10th, but also kind of begin the visioning process for our church as we enter into this new era and this new time.
Right.
So we've talked a little bit today in our staff meeting, and we've been talking multiple times each week since March because of the fluid situation.
Right, unprecedented.
It is situation. Unprecedented, and so we're looking forward to kind of seeing slowly moving into the new year to see what the new year holds for us in worship. We are thankful that this past fall we've had several families join us.
Yeah.
In our live worship, and then of course we have no idea how many are joining us online as far as new people.
Right.
But we're kind of learning this current rhythm, living in this moment, and doing the best we can to share each week through the different platforms that we have.
We've said it a lot during the pandemic, but if we come out of pandemic the same way we went into pandemic, and we just go back to what it's always been, then we probably missed out on a really big opportunity that God's placed before us to re-envision, to see things fresh and new, and see how God wants to almost start over with maybe like a new creation idea of the church here at First Baptist Sweetwater.
Well, and that's really the heart of what we've been talking about. And of course, in January, the first series right into our calendar has to deal with some of those visionary things, the things that God's placing on our heart as far as our purpose and our mission here and how we respond to that. We look at it in a variety of ways each year. This year, our theme is One Mission, and it's from Luke chapter 19, verse 10. where Jesus said that he came to seek and to save the lost. So if we clarify our mission, if we take all the things that we do and ask ourselves why we do them, we're hoping that the answer is it's so that people might come to know Christ.
Right.
And so it's going to be a good way for us to move into the new year, examining our personal mission and personal response to the world that God's placed us in, as well as our church. And so coming off that, we have the opportunity to get into some of the specifics and particulars of the function of the church and the function of faith life as we get into Ash Wednesday and Lent. And I've shared this before, but once we're at the phase that we're in now, where we're already kind of planning and thinking about it, I always have that sense that I'm already experiencing it.
Right.
And so, in my mind, it's summertime already.
Well, no.
So there's a lot
Tomorrow will change that.
There's a lot to happen before then, for sure.
But it is an intentional, it's an intentional part of our ministry here at First Baptist and of what we do here, that we talked about decorations coming down. We're even intentional with how decorations are put up and what decorations are up. I mean, and so that makes perfect sense that this is an intentional moment to stop and to think and say, what does this look like? What does God want this to look like going forward? Right.
And the way I feel like all of that speaks into us, or each of us, is one of the things I've become more and more aware of is that I preach and train and lead into rhythm. Mm-hmm. So, and by that I mean the natural rhythms that we're going through in life. And so I think that one of the things that I'm working on now is that there's got to be a balance of those things, because if you're not making faith relevant to culture, then you just become another version of a Pharisee, where you know the word real well, you respond to rules and regulations, but you're not really good at becoming and living out of faith. And so I think that's the becoming part, is that part of our experience in faith life where we begin to take our faith and let that live out in culture. I think that's when you and I talk about the kingdom of God. That's the experience that we see more than anything else. And so definitely it's in the rhythm, it's my favorite season. Now I love the Advent, and then particularly the last 3 or 4 weeks of the Lenten journey. But this whole season of starting a new year, starting a church emphasis, that is really a shot of adrenaline for me. And as we look back, typically you can look forward by evaluating. And this year's just been one of those. I can't even remember what we talked about in January or February unless I just go back and look at the schedule.
Yeah, I think that's for everybody. Yeah. But I think part of the excitement of this time of year for this year is having those conversations with new faces in the congregation during the pandemic. I mean, you don't expect to have new faces show up in worship with you during this time of year, during what's happened, but we have. And so there's this excitement that you have so much potential, or there's so much opportunity with new people there to speak into the voice also. Well,
and fortunately I'd learned early in the pandemic that you can't really begrudge what we're experiencing or fight against it. But you really just have to lean into what God's doing. But one of the questions that was at the forefront of my mind was whether or not we would be able to reach people during this period, or whether we were just going to have to wait until something cleared and then we could kind of get back to a regular church life. But that's been really encouraging, because the fall really kind of happened a lot like other falls around here, where people start to re-engage and get connected. And for us, a lot of those people were new faces to us. So for those that have been out of church with us for a period of time, to a large degree, once we start getting the vaccine out there and getting fewer cases in our community and in the world, and folks start coming back to our church, they're going to see a different place.
Oh yeah, there's definite potential for someone to walk in and say, "Oh, I've never met you. You're new here," and they go, "Well, no, I've been going to church here for 6 months."
Right. Where have you been?
Right. Exactly. But that's exciting. It would definitely change and development during that. But I'm excited about the potential there. Man, I've used potential a lot, and you don't like that word.
Well, we won't get into that podcast idea, but we'll definitely put that on the
it'll be on the
in
radar.
the bank for a future. But anyways, it's good to catch up and have some sit down time with Teak. Even though we have been doing this a good bit during the days of Christmas, it was just last week.
It was.
And but so he and I are sort of accustomed to doing this, even in front of the camera. But we appreciate you guys joining us for this midweek conversation, and we look forward to being a part of your life on Sunday, and look forward to you having the opportunity to meet Gary Stidham.
Yeah. See you then.
See you.